what's going on YouTube. This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the debut album by Tekashi 6ix9ine. Basically, this product is called Dummy Boy, and it came out in the fall of 2018. So the thing about this particular product here is just the fact that Tekashi 6ix9ine kind of exploded on the scene in like the mid-late 2010s as far as those pitch kind of happened with it. He had a debut mixtape, which was Day 6ix9ine as far as those pitch kind of happened, released earlier in 2018, some of those type fairs. He kind of blew up on the scene just randomly and just within the pitch. I don't want to say so much like an industry plant, but definitely something that was just kind of a surprise hit, dude, that it just felt like going from like November, December 2016 to like February, March 2018 is just like he was like the next big thing, especially in like the new school era things. Now this particular cat here, Tekashi 6ix9ine, catches a lot of flack. It seems like he's always got some sort of misadventures and like antics that kind of particularly happen. He got arrested at one point, I remember, and kind of was on a trial and was seen as a snitch for the longest time as far as those pitch can happen, similar to Gunna and some of those type of folks. He generally gets backlash a lot of the time. His projects, his music albums and projects tend to get panned oftenly enough, but this is damn near a classic here. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like the appeal, the thing about Tekashi 6ix9ine that's so interesting is just the fact that he gets all this hate and flack all the time. Generally one of the ones that people tend to throw tomatoes and stones at, but this is a concept. A lot of this, he's pretty filthy rich and continues to have consistent popularity. So it's just the concept. Like when I look at one of his videos on YouTube having over 1 billion plays, the song he did with Nicki Minaj, it's just kind of the fair. It's just interesting that it's just kind of a very polarizing type aspect that some folks love him, other folks hate him. It's just within the pitch, but he makes noise generally with most projects that he does. But it just seems like nowadays, he just went to prison recently. It was kind of within the pitch behind it. I'm not sure it's full blown, but it's just kind of been with the pitch. He's been a little bit quieter in recent times, not quite as ferocious as he was in 2018 and like the early 2020s, but it's just within the pitch behind it as far as saying it's an interesting type concept because a lot of this, he does have some pretty high octane type energy. I'm trying to think of someone he reminds me of. He has like the kind of randomness factor, kind of like the schizo type factor of someone like ODB, with the energy of someone like Meek Mill and DMX, just kind of a more like, it's like kind of like a standard nut as far as those pitches kind of happen just within the pitch behind it. I do like the concept of like he is an original factor in like rap music. I'd have to say just within the tone. It's just kind of the concept that despite the backlash that he gets, he is an entertaining character that, you know, he generally makes noise around the stuff that he's around. It's just within the pitch because I've noted he's a particularly large Instagram celebrity as far as those pitches kind of happen. I've known at least the product of what he was since he dropped a song off this particular album with Nicki Minaj, which I think was Fifi as far as those pitches kind of happen. That was one that was a big deal back in like the summer or so 2018. So he was definitely large in like the IG scene, some of that type fair. A lot of products of those albums kind of came out. This was back when 2010's trap was like super predominant. You know, the after effect of albums like Dirty Sprite 2 by Future and What a Time to Be Alive by Drake and Future and Evil by Future, some of those type of ones. Migos' Culture, a lot of these products just within the concept of a lot of this, just within the tone behind it. Plenty of these good particular type ones. This would have to say within the fair, but this album did go platinum just within the pitch behind it. So it's an interesting type conduct that despite the fact that it was panned, it is kind of the haphazard popularity of 6ix9ine. It's just kind of within the pitch behind it. I think this made enough noise. I definitely think in terms of the commercial and casual aspect, the aspect is definitely here just because folks, he's someone that gets folks talking. It's just within the pitch that he kind of has one of those love it or hate it personalities, kind of how Ice Cube used to be seen back in the days, that nigga you love to hate. That's kind of the same thing with Tekashi 6ix9ine as far as those pitches kind of happen, where it is kind of the concept that he's here. It's just kind of the concept that it's just kind of a radical type personality within the pitch behind it, and that's the tone behind it. But I look after the tone, it does have some excellent stuff on here. I'm just going to go ahead and say I would pay attention more to like the attention that he's getting with like the YouTube presentation, not just YouTube, but Instagram, YouTube, places like that, Snapchat, where he has this universal kind of popularity. At least the views should determine more of like the quality more so than the aspect behind it. He may be, you know, some folks may think he's like a jackass or a prick or something like that, just in the tone, just the aspect of like his essence of like his tactics that he kind of has around this kind of being not necessarily like a laughing stock, but this general type jackass type territory within the tone behind it. But it's not like it's a bit this general kind of commotion causing territory within the pitch behind it, but some excellent type flair to kind of get. So the product of this album is pretty excellent. There's some stuff to talk about within this particular product that has the fair behind it. So this is the making of like a relatively pretty rock solidly notable project out of the late 2010s with the aspect that it just did things that a lot of albums in the 2010s didn't do. When you think of folks, they usually have like these surprise albums or just albums out of nowhere, these impromptu type projects where it just happens, and then 2 weeks later after the album comes out, they go back to being Ghost and pitches like that. This is a product of something, or Tekashi 6ix9ine was actually in the spotlight as far as those pitches kind of happened, made some noise, did the videos, did the music videos, made the commotion, did the press, had the stuff that he was talking about, the hot takes that he was saying around that particular time. So it was just within the pitch behind it. It's just that was the typical type fare, and it was just kind of the product that after like for like the new school era in the wake of like XXX Temptation's death, it was kind of like he was like one of the faces that kind of took that fold as far as those pitches kind of happened between him and Juice WRLD. His pitches like that kind of had that particular type of appeal as far as saying that it just was kind of the product, because you look after it in terms of like new school type cats, just for folks kind of pushing the envelopes as far as those pitches kind of happen. He kind of was one of the bigger ones, not just when you think of folks from yesteryear like Future or Yo Gotti or some of those type folks, or Drake or some of those type folks, but actually someone who was born probably past 1994 or 95, who's kind of making new age commotion and has some solid enough talent about it. But he, folks think he's hateable, was within the pitch that he dropped a pretty rock solid and damn near classic album here. But we'll just go ahead and talk about it. So there were 4 singles. Now I can see some of the aspects behind this, because I just think the conduct behind it, it's a very abrasive type product. I will definitely say, just within the tone behind it. I admit that Tekashi 6ix9ine is not very good at summer songs, and some of the Latin rap that he does is not that aspected either. I realize that he is Latin within the sense behind it, but somehow he was not able to pull off these particular type songs like folks like Daddy Yankee and Pitbull and some of those type folks that particularly did it. It has like a taste of summer on here. It's just not a very good one. I think the aspect behind it, the surprising thing about those songs though, is they're some of the most popular on here. So there were some folks that were enjoying those particular type songs, but for the most part, the summer vibes, trying to do some of those tropical kind of steel drum type songs, similar to like a song like Soulja Boy's Crank That Soulja Boy, just within that relative summery. Folks like Sean Kingston, Soulja Boy, some of those type vibes that they kind of particularly did with those summer ambience just didn't really work that well. But every other song on here is damn knocked out of the park just in the pitch. I recommend 3 out of 4 of the singles. The only one I don't recommend is BB, which is one of those summery type ones. I feel like this didn't nail it, like I was saying. And then basically this album's going to get over, and this probably just going to get a pretty damn well high score, I'd say, within the tone. But just being able to say, we'll talk about it so you know what I'm talking about. So Tati is the first single, and it's like a dreary kind of pulsating kind of trap noise kind of get here, just some basic parking lot pimping to kind of get within that aspect. It's kind of a crowd please of a song, decent dance club buzzer to kind of get here. Tati's kind of like a Warp type one, just kind of feeling like a relative head trip just on the dance floor, just being thizzed out, just being tripped out, just within the sense of just having a real good time on the dance floor, getting towards it, getting crunk, some of that type, very just standard type buzz type scene to kind of get within that tone. Do you like these dance club bops on here? And thing about Tekashi 6ix9ine is just the fact that he has a good assortment of dance club type songs. He's kind of like a more new school era of like Pitbull, just with the more high octane type energy. So it's just kind of the pitch behind him. And Pitbull is relatively crazy, but I will say that Tekashi 6ix9ine does have that character of having an interesting type flair of his delivery as far as those pitches kind of happen. He's just very powder keg within the sense, this works within it. There was another point I was trying to get to, and I don't remember it, just within the tone. There was something else when I was talking about some of the complaints about this product, but we'll probably get to that as like the album unfolds later. But just to be able to say, I'm not sure if I'll remember the point, but there was another good point I was going to throw in this review, but it's just kind of not coming to me right now. But Fifi is the second single, and this is the song that I was talking about that I remember from Tekashi 6ix9ine back in the day. I'd had to say this has Nicki Minaj on there. This is a song that got over 1 billion plays on YouTube and pitches like that. Probably a pretty big deal on Instagram. Probably got him millions of followers, or within that relative type pitch, some of those type flares back in, just him, this being his and one of his initial songs in the spotlight, having only dropped the mixtape or so before that, some good type pitches that he had Nicki Minaj and just made that much noise right off the bat, I'd have to say. But Fifi is kind of like a glaring, kind of heavy rollout type song to kind of get here. Just some stunt pizzazz, definitely just a jazzy kind of night commerce. I would feel like good concert for that. Just typical rollout type song, some Liddy pop out music to kind of get here. This is like an ambient kind of vehicle jumper to kind of have. So it's just, I look after it, it's a little bit like, this is just like a milder type version of the sort of stuff that Future and Drake and some of those, this is just like a milder type version of some of the folks like Future and Travis Scott kind of do within their pitches as far as having those vehicle knock, just the pitch of just having like some feralness just within the tone. Not quite as crazy as Pop Smoke, not quite as crazy as Future on one of his heydays or high days, some of the pitches like that. Not quite as crazy as Travis Scott when he's really getting excited and rolling out some of those type fairs, or Lil Baby, some of those type folks with like that standard sheen. But it's not like this is a bad song. It's just kind of a vanilla type one. It's just the basic aspect. It's just the basic aspect of like some mellow kind of, like, it has the pizzazz on here. Nicki Minaj pretty ambient on this particular song. Good combination. I like these Nicki Minaj and Tekashi 6ix9ine songs just with the pitch behind it, but just basic kind of vanilla vehicle pizzazz type song kind of get in 2010s trap. So it's a good type of feel. Just your initial kind of basic bop as far as those pitch kind of happen with it. And then BB was the third single, and this is one of those ones I was talking about with like the more summery type vibe. It's unfortunate that this one didn't have as much appeal towards me as far as those pitch kind of happen with that. I just wasn't looking after the aspect of seeing like the pizzazz about this particular one. I just feel like the production fare, the choice on these particular songs was just not quite as simmering. It's surprising. It just felt kind of awkward. I think this kind of concept is, I think maybe some folks listen to certain songs and maybe just heard the wrong songs. That's the point I was trying to say. Some folks maybe heard the wrong songs by 6ix9ine and thought this album sucked just within the pitch behind it, because the concept behind it is it's abrasive within the pitch. You have to have like a relative learning curve to kind of, for one thing, if you don't appreciate 2010s, late 2010s trap, it's not going to really fit that well. It has a lot of those vibes of like Lil Durk and Young Thug, some of those type folks. It's very trap centric. Also has the concept of this having like the particular kind of vibes that were going around in this contemporary to like Instagram life around that time. So the learning curve is relatively there, because this is more like, this is not like what was going around in like the early 2010s and like the product of like ratchet type music, art, trap and bass, some of that type of stuff, like the DJ Mustard sound, some of those type pitches. So it's the advancements kind of behind it. There's not really like relative kind of starting points as far as those pitches kind of happen. As far as saying, if you're new to Tekashi 6ix9ine, this would be the immediate song to go for, and like the casual type of appeal of just like a primer for that sort of pitch. So it's just, I'd probably say it would be Stupid. That would be a pretty good tone for it, but this isn't the pitch. But yeah, like I was saying, some of these songs like BB and some of these other ones on here that kind of have that summery type pitch. There's one with Tory Lanez that really dropped the ball. And then there's one with, there's another Latin song on here that just dropped the ball as well as far as those pitches can happen. These are just ones that really are just kind of blasé within the pitch behind. Just didn't really have the aspect of really being able to nail some of that type flair. Just didn't have like the particular production pizzazz or something. I mean, it was trying to nail like this summery kind of sublime type vibe, but it just didn't really. For some reason, Tekashi 6ix9ine was just not able to pull off those particular summer, just sparkle type songs and just some this relative basking as far as those pitch can happen. It's strange, but it didn't work that well on here. But Stupid is a nice song. He definitely has these trap songs down pretty well. I would definitely say Fifi is an excellent one. Tati is an excellent one as well. Good dance club song in Tati. Stupid is like a real nice one as well. Stupid is like a gnarled feeling on the fritz, kind of club buzzing kind of get here. Definitely Smoke Several, Get Riled, kind of festive out and about heat to kind of have within that tone. Stupid is definitely one to feel wired as hell as far as those pitch can happen with it. Just a real alert type one. Just really get some drink and smokage in your system as far as those pairs can happen. Just real nice bop kind of have within the tone. It is kind of a dance club song. It's a little bit of feeling right, feeling swash type song kind of get within that fare. Just typical kind of tipsiness kind of have within it. Just overall, just good, just club noise kind of get here. Just one to kind of zone out and just appreciate like a standard kind of night. Just like the gnarl type of appeal. Do need to be more songs like this within the tone, just within the aspect. Definitely say 6ix9ine nails the social vibes on this particular product pretty damn well. So I would probably say the social score is going to get damn near a 10 within the pitch behind this. A lot of these songs like Tati, Stupid, I would say Wando, Conga, some of these type of ones, even Waka, some of these type of pitches, just some typical type fare to kind of get within that tone. Just a good product of like, it's a relatively snappy album, but there are some pretty good gems on here for like some nights out. Even Mama's a pretty nice one for that. There's just the pitch behind it. But yeah, so like I was saying, there's 13 songs on here, and within the pitch behind it, I already mentioned the 3 songs I don't recommend, but the names of these songs would be the 3 songs I don't recommend would be Kika with Tory Lanez, BB with Annuel AA, and Mala with Annuel AA. So I just would have to say those are the pitches. The song 7, song 8, BB and Mala are just the 2 Latin rap type songs that just don't pull off the summer vibes that well, and Kika's kind of the same type of vibe that just didn't nail it. Normally Tory Lanez has butter smooth hooks a lot better, but that was just one that was just not quite as executed as well, I'd have to say, within the tone. But yeah, this album's going to get a 9 out of 10 within the pitch behind it. I just look after the tone, just right on the dot with the 9 as far as that particular flaregun goes. I mean, 10 out of 13 is relatively, for the most part, pretty damn well excellent. If I had recommended 12 out of 13, it would have gotten a 10. So it's just within the pitch that fair. I'd say 11 out of 13 would probably be like a 9.5 just within the pitch. So it'd either be like a really strong 8.75, but considering the fact that I did enjoy these songs more in a little bit, these are not just songs that are kind of occasional, but there are some real good boilers on here. Songs like Fifi, songs like Stupid, definitely. The Kanye West songs are really good. Mama and Kanga are real good. I would say FIFA with Gunna, some of these makeshift type songs, the Lil Baby and Gunna songs are real excellent as well. So there's just plenty of good bops on here within the sense behind it. It's a very strengthy type album in terms of what it delivers, despite the flack behind it. It's just kind of the concept that it is rooted in. Just for folks that if you're kind of more dicey with 2010's trap, that's probably the product of why it collected some of this hate. But just within the tone, so TikTok is a real nice one on here. It's like a simmering kind of pop rap, kind of acoustic bop to kind of get here. Just a good tune. Definitely. The song did this vibe before the #1 that DaBaby did in early 2020 with Rockstar. That was kind of like a COVID and pandemic anthem. This particular song has that flavor, that particular song, but just nailed it a few years before it. And I'd say it's a pretty good makeshift hit to kind of get here within that. So it's just a real nice one. Do like the tone of Lil Baby having some of these makeshift type ones. I reviewed one of his projects recently, and he had some good makeshift on that from his 2017 project, which was To the Hard Way with Marlo on there. So some excellent type pitches, getting some of these makeshift type ones. Tekashi 6ix9ine has some of that on here. That's kind of the product of it. A lot of this is kind of like some work shift kind of relief within this kind of concept of I'm done with that shit, now it's time to head to the dance floor, get crunk a bit just within the tone, just unwind and just get towards it. Definitely one of those type songs that just kind of has that particular aspect about it. Within the tone is Wando. This is a real nice bop on here. It's like a sparkling kind of nightclub kickoff, I would definitely say, just straight to the dance floor craze in like a darker sense, I would feel like here. And this is just kind of a preoccupied type bop. Yeah, Wando is just kind of a preoccupied type one to kind of get just some more brooding type sense, but it's brooding in a sense of being social at the same time, so it's an interesting type concept for like some Dracula type brooding, just within the aspect of still heading out and going to a dance club, some pitches like that, just get some women twerking within that very excellent type and just kind of get there. And then FIFA with Gunna is a pretty nice one as well. This is very similar to like the song TikTok with Lil Baby, I'd had to say. FIFA's like some very similar Hella Malaise kind of work shift blear to kind of get here. It has a real dark tone, pretty similar to Lil Baby's sound off of his mixtapes in 2017, 2018 projects, that I had to say. Real nice song to ruminate and toke up within that pitch. So it's just a more standard kind of makeshift dredge, interesting concept on here. The product of some of these type of ones is it's just kind of like the pitch behind it is it does have these songs on here, but it is not fully kind of broadcast because Tekashi 6ix9ine was not really in the mode of like more blue collar type fare, and it's not like there's a problem with that. It's just the pitch as far as saying within that tone you get like a product of something that the turn up is, it's about the conduct of really cutting loose within the pitch behind it, but there are some moments for like some in-between type segments, finding your way of the conduit towards getting towards a more like affable type times within the pitch, which is pretty excellent type fare. So it's a concept on here, some good Traverse type ones. But yeah, like I was saying, some of these Kanye West songs, there's a couple Nicki Minaj features on here and a couple Kanye West features on here, and there's just some really nice ones. But Mama's like a real nice one. It's like a lyric kind of night trap kickstart to kind of get here. Just some routine kind of jazzy fun, I'd have to say. Just a dance two-stepper and a basic twerk song kind of get within that tone. Good song to be wired as hell. Yeah, Mama is pretty similar, and like the pitch behind it is like the song Stupid. Just some real nice ones to be off the fritz too as far as those pitches can happen. Just some excellent type fare to kind of have some good smokage, some pitches like that. Really like to appeal some of those. And then Waka is a nice one, nice pitch to kind of get some of these. It's like a routine kind of IG living, kind of trap ambience to definitely have here. Just some late day Pharaoh, definitely feel like just kind of the ambience of just the after moments. Just smoke one, kind of situate, check phone, some of those type fares. Just kind of some awake hangout to kind of get. So this is like a live song within the pitch. It definitely has some liveliness about it, but it's just not as crazy as like being full blown on the dance floor. Just kind of the conduct of like those moments of figuring out like maybe 20 or 40 minutes before going out for some step out with some homies nearby or some chicas nearby within the tone behind it. Just the relative, it's kind of in between type moments, but just the last moments of those particular type fare, just relative, just kind of being like, hey, this is some new shit that's on IG, and then, you know, smoke a L or something like that, and then get ready to move out as far as those pitches can have into some good type tones. Dummy is a nice one as well. It's like a stock kind of late 2010s trap product to kind of get here. I would definitely say it's like some IG life, kind of typical day in the life type fare to kind of have within that sense. Just some good urban relief from like some makeshift I'd have to say within the tones. So it's another nice one for that relative fare. Yeah, so it's just the conduct of just something to kind of have just within the sense after a relative long day in like a Hustler's makeshift. With Dummy is like a good song for after that relative day life as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just the product of like day life fare and some of that type stuff to kind of have within that conduct, where it's just responsibilities, tasks, errands, bills, pain, school, whatever, which how the what have you, what particularly happens along with it, just the conduct of just having that relief and just switching to like your nightlife as far as those pitches kind of happen, getting towards like the product of the folks that you're going to see just amongst like the more liveliness within the fair behind it. So this is just kind of a conduit for that, just the relative brushing off of some of that style of like the day fair within those pitches. It's kind of a product of like typical IG type fair, just within that tone. It's a good type pitch, can have some of that. I would say Future hasn't done terribly. I would say not every trap artist has a particular fair. I mean, this is just some basic kind of noise within that sense. This is a very similar in between type song to like Waka, some of those type of ones I'd have to say, but it's just a little bit more. This feels a little bit more flip mode within the sense behind it. I'd have to say, but it's a good type tone. Just get some general thrills and excitement. And I think I covered every single song on here as far as those pitches kind of happen. Actually, I don't think I talked about Kanga, so this is a nice one. This says Kanye West on here. It's like a basic kind of late day groove to kind of get just after tasks. I would have to say about this one. Just fresh on like the party scene, something like that, just within the tone I'd have to say. Just get things crunk pretty quickly, and it's like a dope dance hit to kind of get on here. So it's another nice one. Kanye West does pretty good, excellent on this particular song. He really has some scene stealing verses. It's a good concept to get Kanye West back on his flair. It seemed like Kanye West was kind of having like some mild snags just within like the mid 2010s as far as those pitches kind of happen. He did have his breakdown in like mid-late 2016, but he was back on the scene by 2018. He did some songs with Lil Pump, and he also, I forgot about these songs that he did with Tekashi 6ix9ine, so some good type fare for that. But yeah, this particular song, yeah, but Kanga's like some initial moments of like the step out, just arriving on the scene, some pitches like that, just feeling nice, just within the tone, ordering those initial drinks, some of that type fare, just be able to get towards it, figure out which chicas are there, some of that typeness to kind of get things popping. So it's a good, excellent type flair for some of that, I'd have to say. No, thank you once again that I covered the songs off this particular product. So that's the fare behind it as far as those pitches kind of happen. So yeah, this album gets a 9 out of 10 just within the fair. The social score is probably going to get, like, I would say the social score is widespread enough to get a 10 out of 10, but it would almost be like a 9.75 just within the pitch, because I realize the flack that Tekashi 6ix9ine kind of gets. I realize that the quality is definitely here, but the abrasiveness kind of it, if you're already not enjoying like 2010s, 2020s trap, just the pitch of some of the more contemporary sounds that are going on, it's not really going to change your mind as far as this pitch is going to happen. I mean, it does have some good aspects on here, a lot of good dance club songs, good pitches for some of that type fare, some makeshift moments. I do like some of these kind of in-between conduit type moments of just allowing you to ditch like the worship type vibes. It's kind of the concept of this, like just that kind of drudgy type moments between about 3:30 to about 6:30, just the flare, just as the moments of work shift kind of wear off, and just figuring out like, yep, it's time to get crazy, some of that type fare. The moments of just flipping through your phone, seeing the excitement after a long day, some of those type fares, those moments are kind of on here. Do you like the pitch behind it? There is some makeshift on here just within that as well, in like a drudgy type sense. Tekashi 6ix9ine takes a page out of Lil Baby and Gunna's playbook as far as doing some of those darker type ones within the pitch behind it. There's just some good moments on here as far as that kind of goes. More than a handful of dance club bops on here. Thrilling energy. Tekashi 6ix9ine's pretty good powder keg within the fare behind it, so it definitely has that flair in spades as far as that particular kind of goes. So I just would say it's a 10, just within the aspect, despite the fact that he kind of has the backlash, just within the tone, the aspects are kind of here. It just takes a learning curve within it, just within the tones. That's just the thing. But in terms of the future, like Tekashi 6ix9ine, I think he put out an album in 2024, not really his full-blown sure, just within the pitch behind it. Had the question. I want to say he dropped a Latin album, which I question. I probably would support that within a sense if it had better aspects than just amalgamations compared to it was on this particular product. But it's just within the tone as far as saying that he does have another album that when he just got out of prison in 2020, and then I think he's on like his third or fourth album. So it's just within the pitch of being able to find some more of these, just within the aspect behind it. But this is a relative kind of new era classic, damn near here. I mean, it's debatable. It's one of those type ones that's going to be polarizing, just like Eminem and folks like that, Meek Mill, some of those particular type folks that kind of get the backlash. There's some other rappers like that I just can't think is full blown right now, but it's generally those ones that kind of have like, some people, like the likes and dislikes on some of their videos are generally about the same, or just the hate. You get as many people that hate him as like him as far as those pitches can happen. But regardless, the noise is clearly there because all of his videos do tend to have multiple millions of plays, in some cases billions. So it's just within the tone that has to say something, and this quality is definitely there.